America now months into fighting coronavirus, and right now many billionaires are still getting richer and Black communities are still getting sicker and dealing with higher rates of fatality. As Dr. Anthony Fauci recently said, this is in part a direct product of years and years of institutional racism that is still happening today. My next guest has made it his mission to address the core disparities perpetuating this crisis, both the poverty crisis and the health crisis, and access to strong education. With me now is Kwame Owusu-Kesse, CEO, newly appointed CEO of the Harlem Children's Zone. It is, if anyone doesn't know, Kwame, a remarkable organization. You guys fight poverty from, cradle to career, and even former President Obama has said of your model, it is literally saving a generation of children. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you for having me this morning.
What are you seeing on the ground in terms of the disproportionate adverse impact of the COVID crisis, of course, on the Black community, but on Black kids, Black children?
Absolutely. COVID-19 has been so devastating to our community. We've never seen a calamity like this. And this requires bold action because it's a multi-dimensional threat. And for us here at the Harlem Children's Zone, we sprung into action, both on the ground in Central Harlem and also having meaningful impact on a couple cities across America. And what we have noticed is there were 5 emerging areas that need immediate need. The first was the need for emergency relief funds. We've been able to distribute over $300,000 to our community. The second is this idea of protecting our most vulnerable, having access to essential goods and information. So we've distributed over a couple thousand 2-week supplies of non-perishable food items, in addition to launching a public health campaign, #StayCoveredHarlem, emphasizing the importance of wearing a mask and keeping social distance. The third is this idea of bridging the digital divide. Internet is a fundamental right for our young people, and we need to make sure that our families have connectivity and all school-age students have the proper learning devices. So we've been able to distribute over 1,000 laptops and 140 mobile Wi-Fi units. The fourth component was this idea of preventing learning loss. There's a generation of students at risk of losing up to a year of school. So we need to ensure to continue to provide high-quality virtual supports, in addition to having proactive plans for safe re-entry into our school buildings in the fall. And the fifth and final component on the ground in Harlem is this idea of mitigating the mental health crisis. We know there's a generation at risk of having PTSD due to the massive amounts of toxic stress. So again, ensuring that our young people have access to counselors, to social workers, and our families have access to proper virtual supports and telehealth. And we've been able to share what we've been doing on the ground in Harlem with partners across 6 cities in America. And those cities are Oakland, Minneapolis, Chicago, Detroit, Newark, and Atlanta, who is customizing our 5-pronged approach for their cities.
That's great that you've been able to spread it as well. Let's show some of these children. We have some images of kids. You serve about 10,000 plus kids within the 97 block radius in Harlem. You have 2 charter schools there, Promise Academy. Some of these are taken obviously before the COVID crisis, some of them after. But what is happening to kids? We've heard from so many teachers that they've lost access to a number of their children across school systems that have just become disconnected. They don't have access to Wi-Fi. And where are these kids? And what is the impact going to be on them during this crisis when they're not going to school?
There's tremendous impact on our young people who are being in their homes, and a lot of times overcrowded and not having the right environment to be able to further their learning. There's dire needs. Again, as you mentioned, there's a big lack of internet access. So it is important that we continue to marshal resources so that our families can remain connected. Yeah. This idea of social isolation is leading to massive amounts of toxic stress that is leading to increased rates of child abuse, domestic violence, and other tough circumstances that our children have in their home environment.
And that's what I think is so important about what you guys do. It's not just about the time they're in school. It's about checking on them at home. It's about truly every aspect of their life, mental health, physical health, what they're experiencing at home, helping the parents. Your story,
Absolutely.
You're a Harvard graduate, you've been incredibly successful, but you came from a single, parent home, you dealt with poverty. And I just wonder, as a Black man who personally had to overcome a system designed for you to fail, not designed for you to succeed, What can every person do? Everyone with white privilege right now, what can every person do to help lift these kids up who don't get to be part of Harlem Children's Zone?
Well, my story is the story of the students of the Harlem Children's Zone. And it was folks that invested in me and believed in my potential that allowed me to now be in the seat where I can become the CEO of such an amazing organization that's doing phenomenal things on the ground. And for those that are asking the question of how can I get involved, we believe the answer to everything that we're seeing playing out in our community is targeting neighborhoods with comprehensive services. This was a fantastic week that we had at the Harlem Children's Zone with our national partners. And we had a unique opportunity to present to the Audacious Group, which is a collaborative funding effort that catalyzes capital for social impact efforts that is housed at TED. And we were able to raise $26 million this week, which is going to be a phenomenal impact on the ground for our communities. But we know more needs to be done. And we're going to be able to help leverage that $26 million as part of our greater $50 million effort to be able to make sure and ensure that our communities have the resources they need to be able to unlock their full potential.
Yeah. Your numbers show it all with every student going on to college. I'll post this on social media as well so people can find the link where they can help, where they can get involved. Congratulations on becoming CEO, and we wish you so much luck, Kwame. Thank you.
Abby, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be with you this morning.